Who do you think is responsible for the lack of proposals and marriages in the Black community?
Well, it has to be the men. They're the ones that propose.
Good. Okay. So then I ask, men are the ones that propose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Women are the ones who allow men to enter them. And I agree with you. Men are responsible for the marriage rates in today's society. You can blame women, all these independent, you can blame them all you want to. At the end of the day, the women who are independent, something tells me 98.999% of them are not virgins, right? Someone's messed around with them before, right? I'm 100% agreeing with you that men are responsible, Black men are responsible for the lack of Black marriages in our community. Who is responsible for the casual sex that happens? Am I talking about heterosexual male-female unions in our community?
I think the men are responsible for it, 100%.
Okay.
No hesitation.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because we talk a lot about things like the men leading, right? We have a lot of conversations in the public narrative about men being the ones that are supposed to lead and women are supposed to follow. Mm-hmm. But part of the reason why dating, relationships, families, and marriage are in the state that they're in right now is because women followed men's lead. That's why we're here right now. What I mean by that is a lot of men think leading means telling women what to do. But what leading actually means is modeling the behavior that you want to see in those that are following you. So the model that men have set for women is one of autonomy, independence, do you, think about yourself first. This is the model that men had set for women. So because of that, women started to mirror that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where women then started to think about, well, if the men aren't going to think about us, we got to think about ourselves. We got to put ourselves first, which is why we're now in a culture of where you hear a lot of women saying, do you, think about yourself first, put yourself first, don't sacrifice yourself and all of that, because women have followed men's lead. That's why we're in the state that we're in now. So when you ask me the question about who's to blame for the hookup culture and, people having sex, I blame the men 100%. Because if I am to see you as a leader, I'm to also see you as the one who takes accountability for your behavior before I put it on the person that you say is supposed to follow you. So it's 100% on the men, because if you are a leader, you can say yes and you can say no. Whether or not she opens her legs or not does not force you to say yes. So it's 100% on the men, 100%. And I say that with zero hesitation.
Women, I want to get married and have children. Advice givers, both male and female, keep your legs closed until you get married. Men, I'm not marrying a woman I didn't have sex with first. How far into the pits of hell does society have to go until men radically accept that do as I say, not as I do, so-called leadership doesn't work?
To the men who want to understand what is it that causes women who are successful to date with dudes who don't really have much going on for themselves, and how do they end up with these type of men, in your opinion?
I think it's multifaceted, but I will say one of them is that women do not from jump date men that treat them badly. It just doesn't really work out like that. He tends to be on his best behavior for a certain period of time, and that's usually what happens. Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing too is if she's had attachment injuries where her attachment style leads her to be attracted to a certain type of man, that could be part of it. It could be a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Okay. So basically Pookie and Rick can't, so they just basically charm her or something like that, because they can't really offer her anything. Well, she also doesn't need anything from them. So I guess, let me ask you a question. I heard a theory, like basically what's happening in the sexual revolution, because women don't escape things that are working for them, has basically like turned women into men. And what I mean by that is it's like women are very type A, go get it, go chase it, penthouse, whatever. And then the stereotype in those is like the bachelor guy. And the bachelor guy has the bachelor pad. And the bachelor guy goes to club or goes to this looking for pretty little young thing to go bring up to his bachelor pad. And then, okay, you can go now type of thing, right? What's happening is that kind of what's been happening to these high-powered women who men are like,
Mm.
how is she getting, what is she doing with this guy type of thing?
I don't know, because that's always been there. Yeah, that's always been there. And it's always been a minority of women that will do it. So it makes it hard for me to talk about because it's not the majority. There's always going to be people that do certain things. So I tend to prefer to talk about the majority situations. But there's always been minority situations where a woman will date a man that makes less than her.
No, it's not. No, it's not date less than her. Because again, Ebony K. Williams said if she's making $1 million, he needs to make $2 million, whatever that means.
Yeah.
He can't make 900,000 because that's bad. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Hollywood actress chick dating the best boy grip guy or whatever it is.
He could be.
I don't know. But it's like that situation. We're watching two women who were on a podcast. One was a lawyer. I think both of them were lawyers. And she said that there was a guy she remembered she was dating. She still doesn't know why she did it. This dude lived in a hood. And he was unemployed, all that kind of stuff. But she was attracted to him. And when she picked him up, he knew how to satisfy her, right? But then afterwards, she go drop him home and everything. And in her old self, whatever, she was like in her before safe self, she would do things like quite often with her $1 million home and this, that, and the other. And so a lot of guys can understand, okay, I don't understand this. How does this happen? What I'm trying to ask, is it like the same thing in reverse? Like the same way a guy with $1 million whatever will date a woman who may not have much going for herself too, but he just likes how she looks, wants to bang and that's it type of thing. Is it the same? Is it the same thing? And if it's the same thing, do you think men have the ability to understand that these women actually exist? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think that human nature is not naturally attracted to money. We're just not wired that way. We are attracted to people. So whether or not that person that we're attracted to comes along with money, it's going to require a practical decision for us to say, hey, so even though you're attracted to this person, don't be with them, don't marry them because they don't have money, but you will still be attracted to the person. I think men often confuse what women are attracted to and the practical decision women will make in terms of who they will and will not marry. I think they confuse the two.
So next part, hey, this is how you keep a man. You keep him fed, right? You keep him fed and you drain him. And as long as you do that, you're good. Talk to me.
Again, we're not making the narratives congruent. No, it's so frustrating because the narratives are not congruent. We don't notice how much we will say men are leaders. Both women and men do this. Men are leaders, protectors, and providers, but yet make women the leaders in their actions. I will not do this as long as you do that first. So I will not cheat on you as long as you drain my balls first. So they keep putting the woman in the leadership, like in the driver's seat, right? Of what does and does not happen in the relationship, but they'll also expect her to call him the leader at the same damn time. Again, we just are not creating congruent narratives. It keeps going right back to the sin of Adam. It keeps going back to men making decisions and then saying, but the woman made me do it. He makes a decision, but the woman made me do it. He makes a decision, but it's like the same thing over and over. And at what point are men going to stop and say, do we refuse to take responsibility for our own decisions? What is the problem? Because that's why women have a hard time trusting men to do anything. It's because no matter how well you can compartmentalize your own little boxes in your brain, other people can still see you. They can still hear what you say. They can still see what you do. Whether or not you compartmentalize or not is your own issue. But other people can see that you will say one thing and do another thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it seems almost impossible to get men to, and when I say men, I'm not talking about people, individual men. It seems really hard to get men to decide on a congruent narrative.
Yeah.
How do they want to be perceived in society and how do they want women to perceive them? Because again, they make a lot of emotional decisions while calling themselves logical and rational. This is what I mean by that. It's emotion that is making your story incongruent. Because right now it feels good to call myself a leader, but tomorrow it will feel good to blame her for why I did what I did. So it's all based on emotion. But even though I'm making all of my decisions and everything that I'm saying is based on emotion, I'm also going to call myself logical and rational. And the reason I'm going to call myself logical and rational while making decisions based on emotion is because it feels good emotionally to call myself logical and rational. So everything is based on emotion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It's just fascinating.
So are you saying, with all that,
Yeah.
inquiring minds want to know if draining him will keep a man? That's what.
No, it will not.
But
it will not. And the men have already told women it's not going to, because the new one is always going to be better than you. So no matter how long you keep him drained, he already told you he wants a new chick to drain him. So drain him 50 times a week if you want to. It's make a difference. Like they already told you. Like, so no, that's not going to keep him out. No.
Because post I saw, because if he's drained, he can't perform. I can't.
But the men already told you. They already said if it's not new, it ain't the same. So you chick, you can drain him 50 times a week if you want to. At the end of the day, if another chick that he hasn't had sex with says, hey, let's go, and he's the type that will cheat, he's going to do it. There's nothing that a woman is going to do that's going to stop a man from cheating. And we really need to kill this narrative. Yeah. It's just so tired.
Yeah. I remember something else you said too. I think you said, if sex is what was possible to keep a man, wouldn't more Black women be married?
Yeah, because it's not about sex. It's just, we keep saying, again, no, that's not going to keep a man from cheating. No, it's not.
Just keep him, period. Cheating is one thing, but keep a man, like, ooh, that's how you keep him. What
do you want to keep him for if he's cheating?
I just wonder how many more single Black mothers will it take before they realize that sex is not how you keep a man. It's literally right in front of you. There's
nothing that a woman can do, which is why I hate this narrative about we need feminine women, we need submissive women, that you're still going to cheat on and not have patience with and not have high EQ for. So what is the point?
Why a woman is not responsible if her man cheats. The Coolidge effect. As the story goes, President Calvin Coolidge and his wife were visiting a farm. Mrs. Coolidge noticed a rooster vigorously mating with a hen and asked the farmer, "How often does this happen?" And the farmer replied, "Dozens of times each day." Amused, she said, "Tell that to the president." When President Coolidge heard this, he asked the farmer, "Is it the same hen every time?" The farmer said, "No, it's a different hen every time." President Coolidge smirked and said, "Tell that to Mrs. Coolidge." The story became the namesake for the Coolidge effect, which describes how males, and to some extent females, show renewed sexual interest with new partners in a way they stopped showing for their current partner. This is driven by dopamine. Dopamine is driven by the possibility of experiencing something new.
Yes, this is a great segue into something else we discussed earlier this week where we're talking about like pretty privilege. I remember we were watching, I think it actually was on tonight's conversation. Why? We watch it for research purposes, so we can be like, so you can shake hands.
I think I've probably seen like 4 episodes in
total.
Like
we
don't.
Not her.
Yeah, I probably no.
But that's it. There was a thing some lady, I forgot her name. I think her name was Six Goddess or something. I don't know what it was. She said something like, men will mistreat women who are overweight, then they'll mistreat women who aren't, or something like that. And then I think you said, looked at me and said, name a single celebrity woman who hasn't been cheated on, please. Just name one. And I was damn.
Yeah, there's probably plenty that haven't been cheated on, but it's not going to be because of looks. There's going to be some that people don't think are that attractive that don't get cheated on. There's going to be some that people think are attractive that have gotten cheated on. Yeah. This idea that women's looks dictate how a man treats her is just the most epic gaslight that society has ever thrown at women. How a woman looks does not dictate how a man will treat her. It absolutely does not.
Oh my God, I drink her bathwater.
Okay, great. You'll drink her bathwater. Will you improve your EQ for her? That's what I want to know. Will you improve your emotional intelligence for her? That's what I want to know. If you will improve your emotional intelligence for her, then we can talk. That's what I want to know.
In other words, you're saying that there's a misconception that there's pretty privilege will garner more rings or garner more better treatments. A guy who's not going to cheat on you, a guy who's going to treat you right and everything.
What I'm saying is I genuinely cannot think of one. Yeah. Now, if someone that's watching this can think of one woman who was treated better by every man she's ever dated simply because of what she looks like, you can let me know. I just can't think of one. Not in my personal life, nor celebrity code. I cannot think of one. I have not found the correlation to how a man treats a woman and what she looks like. As a matter of fact, there's likely, I would have to look it up, but there's likely a correlation that if a man is misogynistic, that probably shows up more if she's attractive. I have nothing to back this. I've never looked up anything like this, but what I'm saying is just my gut tells me that if a man is misogynistic, like the way that he views women, he's likely to treat an attractive woman worse than he's likely to treat a woman he's not attracted to. What I mean by that is he's likely to only see her good for one thing. So this idea that a woman being, whatever it may be, right? Like this idea that a man will treat a woman better if she looks better. Women are they are harming themselves emotionally and psychologically for something that's just not true.
Gotcha.
It's just not true.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to tell me that it's true, it's fine, but I would challenge you to find proof of that in your personal life or in public life where you see a correlation, a natural cause and effect between a woman's looks and how men treat her. I'd like to see it. I just can't think of any situations where I've seen it work out like that.
Not only that, in that same segment, I remember you were saying about a woman who was saying that. You said that, in fact, there are a lot of predatory men will see the woman who's super well put together, makeup's on 10, and caked up and everything else, and it'll be like, there's a good chance that she's insecure.
Oh, absolutely. Predatory men know how absolutely. They know how to identify and they tend to naturally go straight for that.
Elaborate on that. Predatory men.
I think what you're talking.
Yeah, because because what she was saying is, the boring looking, maybe a little baby weight having, a woman is going to be mistreated more than the model, whatever. I don't even know what model is now, whatever chick, right? Whatever, right? Okay. So that's what her thing is. And you told me, Turner said, actually, they'll make themselves a target because men who are predatory will see, ooh, she's probably insecure. That's what I'm going to go after. But
yeah, that happens too. That's the whole thing. People just say things that they have no evidence of. So this idea that if a woman is overweight, that means she's insecure. But if a woman isn't overweight, she's not insecure. Like, where do we even get these things from? Like, where does this nonsense even come from? Like, where? What are you talking about? If you are spending 2-3 hours to get ready every day in the morning before you leave, what is that not an insecurity? Don't you think that you have to put yourself together in a particular way before you leave your house? Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just don't like it when women like to pit. I don't know. I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird to think that a woman's weight tells us whether she is or isn't insecure. I just think it's weird. That's all I'm saying.
Got it. Okay.
There are insecure skinny chicks all over the place. Like, I don't know. I don't know what people are talking about.
So, because I remember saying like high maintenance looking women are easier to manipulate per se. Like they stick out like a sore thumb.
I think for predatory men, it can be easier because they think that they will know exactly how to get what they want out of her. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be right, but I think that they would assume that they know exactly what to do. That's why I say that.
Okay. All right. So,
for the most part, I just think it's ridiculous to say that a woman's looks will dictate how a man will treat her. That's nonsense. It's not true at all. I also think it's ridiculous to say that a woman will be insecure if she's overweight. There are insecure people of all weights and sizes. That's just life.
But circling back to what you were saying before, like in regards to, because the idea that, what is she doing with him type of thing? And men don't know, you're saying men, because you're stupid for even being with him. Why are you even choosing this guy? And you're also saying men don't understand what it's like being manipulated, blah, 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 blah. So I hear that. And
men know what it's like to be manipulated, but just for different things, like maybe like for their money or like scams and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But not necessarily, but unless if they're straight, they're not getting manipulated for sex.
I got you.
An excerpt from Why Love Alone Isn't Enough. The two great lies about love. We've been sold two opposing but equally disastrous fantasies. The first is that love should be effortless. If it's real, it shouldn't require work. It should come naturally. If it's meant to be, you won't have to try, compromise, or struggle. Love, we are told, is self-sustaining. If you're with the right person, the connection will carry you through any hardship.
This belief is a slow-acting poison. It convinces people that effort is a sign of failure, that struggle is a sign of incompatibility, that conflict means they're with the wrong person. So when things inevitably get hard, as they always do, people panic. They assume something must be fundamentally broken. And instead of learning how to work through the hard parts, they start looking for the exit.
And that brings us to the second lie. If love gets hard, you should leave. Modern culture is obsessed with self-preservation. We are taught to cut off anything that causes discomfort, to discard relationships the moment they require real work. If a partner makes mistakes, if they fail to meet every expectation, if the feelings change or the passion fades, we're told to walk away. We are told that we deserve better. Not better skills, not better understanding, but a better person.
And so people leave. Not because love is gone, but because they believe it should have been enough. Because they never learned the skills that actually make relationships last. Because they were taught to chase a feeling instead of learning how to build a foundation.
This book will break that illusion. If you're looking for a book that will validate your belief in love as a mystical, all-powerful force, you should stop reading now. This book will not comfort you. It will not reassure you that love conquers all. It will not feed you another version of the fantasy that has already let you down.
Instead, this book will do 3 things. Number 1, it will leave no room for argument. This isn't a book that suggests love isn't enough, it proves it. With history, psychology, and cold hard data, we will dismantle every myth that tells you otherwise. Number 2, it will force you to feel your illusions breaking. You won't just understand why love isn't enough. You will feel the truth of it in your own experiences. You will see the ways love has failed you, the way you have failed love, and the way you have unknowingly set yourself up for heartbreak. And number 3, it will raise the stakes. This isn't just about your relationships. It's about the way you think about love itself. It's about how your beliefs shape your choices, your patterns, and your future. By the end of this book, you won't just know why love isn't enough. You'll know exactly what actually is enough.
The hardest truth you'll ever accept. Here's the truth. Love is not the thing that makes relationships last. Love is necessary, but it is not sufficient. The relationships that survive, really survive, aren't the ones with the most passion, the most chemistry, or even the most love. They are the ones where 2 people have learned what love alone cannot do and have built everything else that it takes to stay together.
This book will show you what those things are. But before we begin, I need you to understand one last thing. The truth will set you free, but first, it will break you. Are you ready?